Defence and Air Corps assisted the search, but there's still no trace of the two women. The alarm was raised after their two horses returned last night, fully saddled but without their riders. Local people say that the point on the river where horses normally cross was a torrent yesterday. The horses were wet when found, even under the saddle, indicating that they had been in the river. Later today, armed troops joined in the search and helped comb the riverbank and surrounding woodland, while divers continued to search the river, which divides the Powerscourt and Charleville estates, and only has one main crossing point. The two horsewomen were experienced riders who knew the area. The search is being coordinated from Enniskerry and will resume again in the morning. So do the Gardaí have any clues?
So far as that is concerned, nobody has seen them since they left.
Have you ruled out the possibility that this may have been an abduction of some kind?
Nothing can be ruled out at this stage.
It was as if she had disappeared into thin air.
For almost 6 years, this man's life has been a living hell.
I didn't spend the time with her that I should have. There are instances where I could have put my foot down, and I didn't. Tremendous regret. Tremendous sorrow.
For John McCarrick, it's the not knowing that torments him. Not knowing what happened to his precious daughter Annie one Friday afternoon in 1993. And for Annie, the nicest people she could meet were the Irish.
You know, we were always aware that we were Irish Americans, quote unquote, but nothing about going back or... But my wife does have a cousin, Danny Casey, and for years he's taken American student groups to Ireland. Every Christmas, right after Christmas, and every summer. Off she went, and about 3 weeks later, I can remember I was sitting having dinner, and she called us, talked to my wife, and I could tell something was going on. She was always wary of me, and my wife said, "You have to talk to your father." She said, "Dad, I don't want to come home." This is right in the middle of a college year.
Annie did come home, but found the lure of Ireland too much to resist.
So she went over and she went to St. Patrick's, the teachers' college, but she switched from there to Maynooth, and she just loved it. Just loved it. She came home every summer and for Christmas, and we would go over 2 or 3 times a year. And she's the one that pulled all the roots out. Went and saw my wife's relatives, my relatives. My closest friend, who lives only 2 blocks from me now, who's from County Roscommon. And she established this huge network. And by the time my wife and I got over there, I felt that we were going back home, a really strange feeling. We felt so comfortable.
On a bitterly cold day in January, the 3 detectives closest to the case revisit the scene of so many searches for Annie McCarrick early in the summer of 1993. These experienced men know that any hopes of Annie McCarrick being found alive have long since passed, and that the best they and John McCarrick can now hope for is that someone, somewhere, may someday come forward with the real story.
Found up here by Hillwall. Thought it was a freshly dug area, bit of ground, and we dug it and we searched all around that area at that time as well.
Right, yeah. God, we spent about 2 days, I'd say. There.
We spent 2 days in that area.
That's that direction over there, yeah.
It's scary.
For Annie McCarrick's family, it's been a living nightmare. This morning, like every morning since she disappeared, they've been racking their brains, trying to find some clue as to her whereabouts. On the 26th of March, the day Annie disappeared, she was seen getting on a bus for Enniskerry.
It's not a different
Got
kind
to
of a song because
Enniskerry
you
and
look so
today they
different.
carried out a search of the area.
No. All right, you're just going to do your own thing. Very good. Or anything at all, Sinead. That would be nice.
Channel of your peace, where there is hatred, let me bring love.
They've also been searching the area around Johnny Fox's pub in the Dublin Mountains, where it's believed Annie McCarrick was last seen with the man on the night she disappeared. This evening, the Gardaí released a computer fit of the man. According to the Garda description, he's in his mid-20s, between 5'9" and 5'10", with dark brown hair, and he was wearing a three-quarter length coat or jacket. Annie McCarrick's mother had been due to visit her daughter a few days after she went missing. The family say her disappearance is totally out of character. This morning, her father was at pains to thank the Gardaí and the public for all their help, but he couldn't hide his distress.
I can't describe the feeling. You're blocked constantly. I can't sleep. That's my biggest problem. There's great difficulty. My wife and I have blocked out talking about it. I have a hard time, very, very hard time looking at the paper. That's when I start to cry.
If Annie sees this, what would you like to say to her?
Let us know where she is. She doesn't even have to do that. Just let us know she's all right. She can't call us. She can call Ann, as I sit on the radio in, or call Father Mike. She knows where to call.
For John McCarrick, it's been another long day. It's 3 weeks now since his daughter was last seen in the company of a man at this pub in the Dublin Mountains. Today, hundreds of volunteers turned up to try to find some trace of Annie McCarrick. The search was directed by the Dublin Mountain Rescue Service, who left people in no doubt about how grave the situation was.
You're searching for a missing person today in whatever shape or form that may take. You're also looking for any item of either clothing or I believe Annie had a large shoulder bag.
This denim shirt is being regarded as a significant find. Annie is thought to have been wearing a denim shirt, but efforts to get one of her flatmates to identify it on the spot were inconclusive. Along with other items found, it's been removed for forensic examination. All of which means that for John McCarrick and his wife Nancy, the waiting goes on.
I'm emotionally drained, but we've got to keep looking and got to keep hoping. That's all we can do. That's what I think my father and mother have to do. Let's go, Eric! We won't give up hope.
There could be a serial killer roaming Kildare, Dublin, the mountains, dumping their bodies.
Is this a missing case or is it a murder case?
Jojo Dollar disappears from Moon, County Kildare in November 1995.
Mary Cullinan at around 11:15 p.m. on Thursday last from the Kildare village of Moon. She was having problems hitching a lift, but said she would call when she arrived home. This recent photograph shows Josephine on the left with her hair tied back. She's with her friend Mary Cullinan. She lived here in a flat in the Kilkenny village of Callan.
Well, we are naturally very concerned. She is 21 years of age, but she did leave home on Thursday morning and didn't indicate to anybody that she didn't intend returning home that day, and the expectation was that she would. She was in Dublin on Thursday. We're satisfied that she was in Dublin from our inquiry so far. We don't know who she met there, so and would like to information on that, as I said. The next that was heard from her was on Thursday night when she rang her friend, and she said she was in the village of Moon. She hasn't been seen or heard of since, and we're very anxious to hear from anybody in Moon who may have seen her there.
This evening, as the Garda investigation continues, Josephine's sister, Mary, made this appeal.
I would like to say to Jojo, I call her Jojo, we know her as Jojo. If she's out there, please phone us. We are worried. And And please, you know, we miss you. And we will give you a big hug, but please, if you're at all, please do.
Fiona Pender from Tullamore, County Offaly, vanishes in August 1996.
At 6 o'clock that morning, she was in her flat at Church Street in the town when her boyfriend left for work.
At this stage, perhaps we have to give her a Christian burial. Unfortunately, despite significant efforts and large-scale investigations down the years, we have not been successful to date in recovering Fiona. However, following on recent investigations and from intelligence we've gleaned from our inquiries, we are about to commence a search today in the Kappa area of Rosenallis, a wooded area there. Now, this is not to say that this will be a successful search. It's just part of the ongoing investigations into this disappearance. This will be a forensic search, going from a least intrusive to an intrusive forensic search. We will be employing the services of our own specially trained people who are trained in searching for cold case persons who have been missing for substantial periods of time. We are also engaging forensic archaeologists, cadaver dogs, and others to search this specific area of approximately 2 miles.
6 months later, in February 1997, 17-year-old Ciara Breen disappears.
Ciara Breen went missing from her home in Bachelor's Walk in Dundalk.
Like Annie McCarrick, all of the women seem to have vanished without a trace. Then, 2 more women disappear within months of each other.
Fiona Sinnott disappeared in 1998.
A young mother, Fiona Sinnott from Wexford, vanishes in February 1998.
Fiona went out socialising with friends in a pub in Broadway in County Wexford. She then walked home and was last reported seen at her house the next day, but hasn't been seen since.
5 months later, 18-year-old Deirdre Jacob is snatched outside her home near Newbridge in County Kildare.
After visiting a local bank, she was walking towards her home on the outskirts of the town. The Gardaí now say they're concerned about her whereabouts.
The disappearances of these 6 women within a so-called murder triangle stretching from Dundalk in the north to Wexford in the south and across to Tullamore in the Midlands provokes a public outcry.
It actually scares you to think that somebody can actually go missing, and you know, just like that.
It's a mystery anyway, and how it's going to be solved, I do not know.
Between 1996 and 1998, there's a noticeable change in people's attitude towards walking streets at night, thumbing lifts and things like that. There was a certain fear and panic felt by the public at large because they thought was there a serial killer out there targeting lone females.
This is quite extraordinary that there could be a serial killer operating in Ireland who is killing women, dumping their bodies.
With no body and no crime scene, the disappearances of all 6 women are officially classified as missing person cases.
At that stage, missing persons cases were treated as a local investigation. It would be then up to the local superintendent to increase the manpowers involved in the investigation, or maybe to bring in outside assistance to help with the investigation.
Amid mounting public concern, Commissioner Pat Byrne announces the establishment of Operation Trace. For the first time, local investigations into the missing women will be examined by a single national team.
We included 6 missing women, which were Annie McCarrick, Fiona Pender, Jojo Dollard, Fiona Sinnott, Ciara Breen, and Deirdre Jacob. The idea was to establish, was there a common link?
The team will also look at the records of people who have shown serious sexual violence against women.
The investigation invariably puts people like that under the microscope.
They recognised the man who had done this to her. They gave the Gardaí the name Larry Murphy.
Larry, of course, because of the modus operandi he used in the abduction and assault, became a person of interest to the Operation Trace investigation. He ticked a lot of boxes for us, and we went back to school, to work and all that, just to establish a picture of him and see could we connect him to any of our missing persons.
Larry Murphy, he was a jobbing carpenter. He lived in Baltinglass. He came from a local family there, was well known.
But
he
Murphy
had
did not participate
a wife,
in any of the treatment
two
provided
children,
for sex offenders in
and
prison.
earned his living driving around Kildare, North Wicklow.
Larry would have known, I say, an awful lot of the area. Spent a lot of time alone in the woods hunting, and a funny individual to say the least. He would have been considered to be totally antisocial. If he went into a pub, he drank alone and nobody mixed with him, nobody wanted to be party to him. Larry attempted to remove himself from a suggestion that he was somebody who stalked and targeted women. He said it was a random act, that he just happened to be in the car park at the time and just happened to see a lone female. Now, we would say that that's totally at variance with the facts. And we've no doubt that he had selected his victim with care. He never had any criminal convictions.
If Larry Murphy hadn't been caught attempting to kill that woman, the Gardaí would never know about him.
Lawrence Murphy, aged 36, of Woodfield, Baltinglass, County Wicklow, pleaded guilty in the Central Criminal Court today to 4 charges of raping a woman and 1 charge of attempted murder on February the 11th, 2000. Mr. Murphy collapsed in court after he had pleaded guilty to the first 4 charges.
By the time Larry Murphy is jailed, the Operation Trace team is unable to uncover any connection between him and the other missing women. But he remains a person of interest.
Well, from our point of view, and again it was quite close to where we were operating from, and it was in the region concerned, more or less the centre of what.
He was working in Swiss pub in Newbridge when Deirdre Jacob went missing. He lived about 2 miles from Moon, where Jojo Dollar went missing, and I'm suspicious of it.
Sex offender Larry Murphy has been released from Arbor Hill Prison in Dublin. He'd served 10.5 years of a 15-year jail term for the rape and attempted murder of a woman in 2000.
The Beast of Baltinglass was released in 2010.
Gardaí say a management plan has been put in place to monitor his activities and whereabouts.
A taxi pulled up outside Arbor Hill Prison, and at 17 minutes past 10 this morning, the convicted sex offender Larry Murphy walked out to be driven away. He had served every day he was supposed to of the 10.5 years from the 15 he was sentenced to with remission. He left a fit, strong, healthy 45-year-old man. He has some money, but few friends. His family have disowned him. His wife has left him and taken their children. The Garda Sex Offenders Management and Intelligence Unit has already a plan in place for Larry Murphy. He's been classified as a high-risk sex offender. He must give the Gardaí his address within the next 7 days, and his new one if he changes it. He must tell them if he wants to leave the country and give them his address abroad. Gardaí will visit him at least once a month.
There's been so much media attention in this particular case. I mean, I've been dealing with numerous people, particularly young women with young families and that, who are genuinely afraid to leave their homes and fear, you know, it's the fear of the unknown in this particular case. There's been different quotes attributed to Larry Murphy's own brother, in which he states that, you know, he's fearful that Larry Murphy could and would reoffend. So I suppose they're reading these stories, looking at the news reports, and, you know, they're taking an awful lot of heed from the concerns of Larry Murphy's own brother.
Is this a missing case, or is it a murder case?
Gardaí have moved to calm public fears about the release of sex offender Larry Murphy by saying they're confident they know of his whereabouts. Residents of Murphy's hometown held a public meeting last night after the 45-year-old walked free from Arbor Hill prison. He'd served 10.5 years for the rape and attempted murder of a woman and is a suspect in other murders. Gardaí say Murphy is not under surveillance, but they do know where he is. Locals in Wicklow say they're worried he will return to live in the area.
And their bodies have never been found. This is quite extraordinary.
I have two words that I've been using over and over again, and that's someone knows.
Someone knows something.
I don't really want justice. I want to put her into a grave, into a final place.
Families' questions and concerns, An Garda Síochána's response is that the case remains listed as a missing person investigation.
Fiona's my baby, and I need to find her.
Because we've always had hope that Deirdre would come back.
18-year-old Ciara Breen went missing from her home in Dundalk.
It was as if she had disappeared into thin air.
Within an area that becomes known as the Vanishing Triangle.
Just like you said it would be. It's just like you said it would be. It's just like you said it would be. It's just like you said it would be.